Donna, welcome to Thyroid Strong Podcast. I'm so excited to have you here. We worked together in a 6-month capacity, and you had tremendous shifts and tremendous changes. And I wanted to share your story with all the listeners because I think sometimes when we have Hashimoto's and we're struggling with energy and brain fog and fatigue and weight, we feel really alone in our journey. And we're like, our family doesn't get it, our kids don't get it. And I just need someone to know and to help me. And so I'm so excited to bring you on because you did
I
have a tremendous transformation.
I did.
Yeah. So when you first came to me, um, can you paint us a picture of what you were struggling with? Because it was more than just Hashimoto's autoimmune disease, right? There were some other
Yeah.
factors in there. Yeah.
Sure. So I'm currently 53. So in my 20s, I had my first bout of Lyme disease. And then being on antibiotics for so long, I ended up with a systemic yeast infection throughout my whole body. So I was on antibiotics most of my life, which gave me chronic fatigue issues. Mold sensitivity started to be a factor, all kinds of issues where if I would leave my house, my ears would feel like they were swollen. I couldn't hear. I was tired all the time in the midst of trying to homeschool 3 kids and run a house and be a married mom and work per diem. So I had a lot on my plate and it was very difficult. Like I couldn't really schedule too much out, even like as far as 2 or 3 days because of the fatigue. And I had been to a lot of different practitioners in the past. I went to a metabolic clinic. They worked me up with all kinds of lab work and do this breathing test, do that treadmill test and whatnot. And they didn't really help me even lose anything. Nobody could really figure out anything that was wrong. And so I actually had watched you for about 2 years on Facebook. I had joined a couple of your, little lectures. And I don't know, for some reason I was like, "Oh, it just sounds like it's too good to be true. I don't really know if I could trust her. I don't know if she's gonna be any different than, anything else I've tried in the past." And then it finally got to the point where I just went all in and I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna watch one more of her episodes and I'm just going to invest in me for the first time." And that's how I ended up signing up with you.
Yeah. And you had many, many years of taking care of everyone else,
Yeah.
right? Like homeschool,
Yeah.
working, teaching, right? Because
Yeah.
you also
Yeah.
teach. Yeah.
Yes, correct.
Yeah.
So I felt
Um,
like I'm finally just gonna make this about me.
I love that. And I think that's hard for a lot of women. I
Yes.
think it's a challenge to like if we are programmed to do life a certain way and to put everyone first and then to be like, okay, I'm first and now someone's holding me accountable.
Yes.
Yeah. Can you share, and I know one of the goals was to lose weight and to
Mhm.
like feel good and to go shopping in your closet, but it was also to get your energy back and to get your mind really crisp.
Right.
Um, can you share, do you remember what your starting weight was?
Yes, I was at 220 pounds.
Woo! Yeah.
Yeah,
And
so it
so
was heavy.
yeah, and do you remember what the weight was when we finished?
I was at 181.
Yeah. And so I think it's important because there are some programs or some styles where it's like, okay, you got to hit 10,000 steps and you got to get this many workouts and it can feel overwhelming. And I felt like for you, having been to clinics, having
Mhm.
seen other people, it was like let's almost like ease into this, right? So it was
And
like,
I forgot to mention the concussion.
yes,
That was a big
yes,
part of it. I
huge.
got a concussion in October of 2024. So we had to really micromanage my plan
Yeah.
because nothing could elevate my heart, which would affect my brain. Any kind of pressure or weightlifting would impact my concussion symptoms. So I totally forgot to mention that because I felt like that was a big part of how we adapted what you did with me.
Yeah, and it was like, if you push too hard, you'd be like, "Oh my god, I need to, like, sleep the rest of the day, but
Yes,
I
to
also wanna, like,
heal.
function for my family,"
Exactly.
and you were having, like, a little bit of vertigo, and so
Yes.
we kind of, like, microdosed things in, right? It wasn't
Sure.
push harder, do more, it was like, "Okay, how can we build this into your identity?" It's like, "I'm someone who gets steps, but I do it in a way
Yes.
that works for me. I'm someone who" for example, we didn't build you, like, a hardcore weight program, we were like, squats, air
Yeah.
squats, and wall
Yes.
push-ups
Exactly.
every couple hours.
Exactly, and I still have my timer set on my phone to go off at 9, 11, 1, 3, and 5 every single day.
I love it.
Yeah, this way I would always keep track of, okay, oh my gosh, it's already time to exercise. So this way I had self accountability.
Yeah, so important. And even though we didn't put you on a hardcore program and we made the program work for you, you still lost a tremendous amount of weight.
I was really, really shocked. And I wouldn't say that it was easy, but I would definitely not say it was hard. It was all about determination and seriously just prioritizing myself. So another big part of what we did was you had me going to bed earlier. So there were times where my husband's a night owl. I swear he has like a genetic issue where he only needs 4 hours of sleep and he can be on for like 3 days. Whereas me, I'm like one eye open, one eye closed. So the biggest part for me was getting to bed by 10 o'clock, like you had suggested, and so that was a little bit hard in the beginning, but then I started having more restorative sleep, and then it got to the point where my husband started joining me on walks, and I'd be like, "Oh, we're gonna still go." He's like, "Oh, we're still going?" So I wound up doing very, very baby steps in the sense that I only went maybe a block or 2, and then I built up to about 45 minutes for walks.
Tremendous. And you stayed with it.
I did until the snow hit New Jersey.
Yeah. You guys had the hardest winter ever, like in the history, like last 20 years.
It's been
Yeah.
rough.
Yeah. And then it's interesting because you did go to a metabolic clinic and you did get a lot of data, but it
Yes.
wasn't necessarily, maybe the data didn't give you the plan to lose the weight or to help, but we were able to like make a plan that fit for you.
What was great about your plan that was different than what I've done before is that you tailored my macronutrients to me. You have the online log for your food. So you actually saw, like, are you going higher or lower? Like, are you meeting your goals? That was one big thing. And with them, all they would do is come up with meal plans. They didn't really explain, like, how many calories should I be eating? Like, even the calculations you did just to determine, like, how sedentary I am, how active I am, what should I be consuming? The increase in water was a big thing for me. I never really paid attention to that. So those were some really big things. And what I really valued about our time together is I feel like you had a lot of insight to look at tests and cross-reference tests that other practitioners had never done before. So to remind you, I had a high eosinophil count, and that's where you started thinking like, "Hey, I think you have a parasite." And nobody had ever seen that number as being anything other than, okay, you have inflammation because you've had Lyme disease before, you've had chronic fatigue, you've had candida. You were the first person to even mention parasite, in as much that even my primary doctor, they're like, nobody has parasites in America. And then lo and behold, I did do the parasite test and we uncovered 2.
I know. Were you a little shocked?
I was. And even when I went to get the medication through my doctor, she's like, how the heck did you get these? So
Yeah,
yeah, I just felt like you really knew how to compare and contrast the different tests. And you looked at me more like a jigsaw puzzle that was assembled versus, okay, here's a piece there, here's a piece here, but you were able to put them together.
yeah. And I think the beauty of what you did is you executed on the plan, right? So
Yes.
there wasn't any sort of like sometimes people ruminate or they hem and haw, and you were like, okay, nope, I'm going to do the parasite test. I trust you, M. And sure
Yeah.
enough, parasites came back. You got meds. And,
Yes.
when we talk about weight loss and we talk about like maybe feeling puffy, there's the basics, right? So it's like steps, workout, calories, and macros. But then there's also this inflammatory weight.
Yes.
Right? And it's like,
Yeah.
you can't do either or, you have to do both. You have to look at both. And I think one of the beautiful things you did was like, you're like, "Yep, I'm gonna do the basics, and I'm gonna also dive deeper with you."
Yeah, and that was a big part because it's a financial commitment to do anything with any kind of practitioner and to help other people. What I decided to do is you had the opportunity where you can use different credit cards for 18-month deferred payment, deferred interest and everything. So I decided to just lock in and I'm figuring within 18 months I'm going to be able to pay for everything. And when you would ask me to do certain tests, some of them were a little pricey, I'll be honest, but I felt like if I'm gonna invest in myself for 6 months, I need to do everything Emily said, otherwise she's missing pieces and she can't help me. So why would I even invest with you from day 1?
Yeah.
And where I in the beginning, I was a little hesitant. I'm like, "Why does she want me to do this test? Oh my goodness, that one's a little expensive. What do I do?" But then I just kinda, like, dove in. I'm like, "I'm gonna trust her 100% with everything she needs to help me, and I'll be paid off in 18 months, and I'm 40 pounds lighter, and I know what to do better going forward."
Yeah. And I
So, yeah.
remember you being like, "Oh my god, these pants fit. Da 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 da." And I was like, "That's right. Let's
I
go.
emptied my
Keep going."
entire closet, honest to goodness. I washed every single day in my closet, and here's what I ended up doing. There were probably about 4 or 5 bags of clothes I was able to donate, and I currently have 2 piles. One is my hopeful pile, maybe by September, and my other one's like, "Wow, if I ever fit in those, that's gonna be amazing." So I may not ever reach that goal just because I've had 3 children. My rib cage is a little wider, my hips are a little wider, but those are my like, "Okay, if I fit into those, that's really golden."
I love that. I love it, and what a weight, right? To, like, give away bags of clothes that you're like, "Those clothes don't fit, they're too
Yeah,
big, and I'm not gonna go back there." It's really like
exactly.
a weight off your chest.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
especially just being able to function, I even said to my youngest is 21, and he was really appreciative because he wants me around as long as I can be here. He was really sweet and he said that. He goes, "I'm glad you're really taking care of yourself." And I
Mm.
don't want to be a burden to my children when I'm older. I want to be able to get in and out of the cars and not have them pushing me around in wheelchairs or whatever.
Yeah.
And just like day to day function, like my knees would always hurt, my hips would hurt. And to be honest, this is awful to me. I was even struggling getting on and off the toilet at times because my knees would hurt so much because of the extra weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
All my joints hurt.
Yeah. And for example, it wasn't like we were like, "All right, we're gonna go hit the gym." It was like, "Okay,
Mhm.
squats, wall push-ups, let's make it work for you."
Exactly, exactly. And because you had told me to do it every 2 hours, it was very manageable. And literally, if I was in the store and my alarm went off, I can go into the bathroom stall and literally do my squats and my wall push-ups in the bathroom stall. Like I was committed.
I love it. I love it. I also love how you taking care of yourself energetically radiated out to the people around you, right? So you
Mhm.
were like your husband started going on walks with you.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think even if I remember correctly, like in the middle, like your son gave you a hug and he's like, "Mom, you're smaller."
Yeah, he was
He's like,
able to get his arms around my chest more tightly.
yeah. Yeah, I love that.
It was probably about 5 inches I lost from the circumference of my chest. So that's pretty sizable.
Yeah. One of the things, that I know you had mentioned before we started recording was, like, when you join the program, you're like, "Oh, okay, I get this many calls," right?
Mhm.
And it's kinda like 1 every 3 weeks, and then there's, like, an initial and an end and one for lab readings, and we jumped on more calls because I feel like when I was really sick and first diagnosed with Hashimoto's, I had questions, and I felt like I had to, like, put them in my iPhone notes and, like, save them up for my next call or my next
Right.
appointment, versus in the program, I want women to feel like they're held. I want them to feel like they're guided. If you have a question, you ask me. If we need to jump on a call to work through something, to check workout form, whatever it is, I want them to have access, and so
Mhm.
we jumped on calls, like, every other week.
We
Um,
did.
yeah, and I'm
And
just
we
wondering, like
texted through your program quite often. We did a
yeah.
lot of chats, and you were very, very quick to respond. And I remember saying to you, "Oh my gosh, I have to get a crown." And then you even gave me advice on asking for the zirconia crowns because they
Yeah.
were healthier, quote unquote, for people with our issue. So I
Mm.
felt you helped me even beyond the scope of what we originally were trying to do.
Yeah. You've worked with other practitioners, so I'm just wondering, going through an experience where you're like, "Wow, I can actually, like, have a open dialogue and communication and drop a message and M responds that day," or, "Oh my
Mhm.
god, I need an extra call. I have this question about this. Even though we reviewed this test, maybe I have more questions." Like, how does that compare to maybe previous experiences in terms of how the process felt?
So the process felt a little bit smoother for sure.
That's
And
good.
I felt like you were accountable to me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were never, like, disparaging, and you were always very encouraging. If it's I still can't get my fats where you want them, and you you never really are like, "Okay, tomorrow's another day. What are we gonna do differently?" So it
Huh.
was always, like, looking ahead, not being berated because you failed up to this point. It's like, "Okay, how are we gonna improve for later?"
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's so important to meet the person where they're at. So there's definitely some people where I'm like more tough love and then more love love, just depending on the person's
Yeah.
personality and
Sure.
nervous system
Sure.
regulation. Um, What would you say is, like, the biggest takeaway or the biggest win from going through the program for
I
you?
can't even just say there's one. Number one, I would say is just learning what macronutrients are because I deal with an integrative health practitioner who's helped me with the mold toxicities and things like that. And I would ask her, like, what do I do about losing weight? And she's like, oh, you just have to count your macros. And it was just like one sentence. I'm like, well, I don't even know what macros are. How do I even do that? So that was definitely one. Number two, the idea of doing a little bit throughout the day. That was something my husband had said years ago, but I never had a practical way to implement that. So the idea of saying, okay, do squats, certain things I couldn't do because of my brain. So I felt like you were able to adapt things well for me and for my limitations so I could succeed.
Yeah, I love that. Anything else since you're like, "There's more than one."
I guess just lifestyle, right? Like now I know what to do. For example, I shared with you before we came on, I definitely did gain a couple pounds because I haven't been walking because of the winters that we had. But now I'm not frustrated or scared. I'm going to go back up to 220. I'm like, all right, let's lock in. I just told you I just went to ShopRite, spent like $400. I'm like, I need to amp up my protein and I need to start drinking just water because I've been so lax. Like I've had soda a little bit and like sweets here and there. And for me, I just can't go back that way because I'll just keep going.
Yeah. I think it's really important in the process for women to be educated. So you're like, now I know what a macronutrient is. Now I know exactly what I need to do to lock in. And I
Yes.
think it's important not just to take someone on their healing journey, but to give them tools in their toolbox. So, for example, if you traveled to a hotel and you're like, oh, it smells musty, maybe it's moldy, like you know what to take with you, or you know,
Yes.
like, "Oh, I gained a little bit of weight over the winter because it was the worst winter ever in Jersey, but I know what to do to lock in." It's like, giddy
Yes.
up, steps, water,
Yeah,
calories,
yeah.
macros. And so I love that you remember that and have really, like, instilled it and embodied it.
That's what it is. You internalize it. Like in the beginning, you're just like, "Oh my gosh, what do I have to do? What do I have to log?" And like I said, I feel like I was ready to just dive in and completely listen to you.
Mm,
And I wasn't ready to do that for the 2 years I was following you. It's definitely an investment in yourself. And if you're not ready to just go all in, then don't.
mhm. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's
It's like you
important.
gotta promise yourself you're gonna do it.
Yeah, 100%. For someone who is maybe like you, who is
Mhm.
like, "I'm listening to M, I'm 2 years in, I'm
Yes.
doing all her little micro training,"
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but maybe they're hesitant to invest in themselves, like, what little golden nugget would you give them since you've gotten to the other side?
Like I said, the whole credit card issue was a
Mm,
huge thing for me because I can invest in myself and not worry about finances right now. I
mhm.
was able to do the deferred payment. I'm paying a monthly fee. And for me, that was great. And it was a credit card that even had perks, like you get money back. So I was like,
Amazing.
this is perfect.
Yeah. So just for people who are listening, there's a company called Advanced Care Card. And
Mhm.
I think it's like you fill out and you share your credit score, and you can get up to like 15 months, no interest to use towards medical
Right,
expenses. So
right.
when we think about the nervous system and we think about women with Hashimoto's, like being a little more maybe dysregulated because life and they have an autoimmune disease and they're like, oh my God, what's going on with my body?
Mhm.
We don't necessarily want to layer on more that would create dysregulation. Like, I want women to
Right.
move through this process and be like, "Oh my god, this is exactly what I need. This is so healing. I'm grounded. I'm steady. I can
Yeah.
follow the plan." And so this option that we're talking about
Yeah.
gives you that. Like, you don't have to
That was a
read
deal
through
breaker
it.
for me. I mean, a deal changer, deal breaker, however that
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's what made me I'm like, "Okay." I wasn't really sure how I was gonna do it until that option came up, and then I filled out everything. I ended up in the Discover card, and I was like, "Okay, this works." And the other thing I would say, you also encourage people to use Function Health for their blood work.
Yeah.
I was a little bit reluctant in the beginning to do that because, again, it was an out-of-pocket cost because I'm in New Jersey and they charge for lab fees in addition to the Function Health. But I was really glad I did that because
Hmm.
it uncovered so many things that normal blood tests don't do.
Yeah.
It gives you your biologic age, and I did find that it was very comprehensive, and I've even shared that with my primary doctor because I thought it was that advantageous.
Yeah.
So, you don't suggest things willy-nilly, like, you have a purpose for
Yeah.
when you order something or when you're trying to guide somebody toward it, and I never felt pressured with you even when I didn't do the parasite test in the beginning. I had to come full circle and say to myself, okay, why would you not say yes to that if you've said yes to everything else that Emily's done? Like, she's missing a piece. And unless I do that, she can't help me as much as she could.
Yeah. I think that's a great way. I mean, that's how I think about it. I'm like, I'm trying to help you. I'm trying to do the best you can.
I know. Like, I need all the pieces.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Part of the program not only is like calories, macros, workouts, using testing, but then it's also using supplements.
Yes.
How did you find that part to be? Because some people are like, give me 50 supplements, and then some people are like, I'll do two.
So I have to tell you, when I first was very sick with a candida,
Mhm.
I was probably swallowing about 25 pills a day. And
Mhm.
my gag reflex had gotten so sensitized, like just my normal everyday vitamin was 10 pills a day.
Wow.
So what you recommended wasn't ridiculous. But if
Yeah.
it was ridiculous, I would have known I would have needed it. So I would have just sucked it up, honestly. But everything was easy. Where you order the supplements from, that was always very simple. There's
Yep.
a discount code that comes off automatically, and I got them, at a nice, maybe like a week, not
Yeah.
even. So
Yep.
that's super easy. I'm looking at them right now. And then, oh, here's another thing that I think is great. I ended up getting this little container where it helps you know, like, what are you taking in the morning? What are you taking at night? So the little pill organizer. So that makes it even easier for people. You can just focus one day a week and just do your whole week's worth of pills. And then every day you just open the little compartment on when you're supposed to take it.
Yeah.
Another
Yeah.
way to make it easy for busy moms.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah.
Life was busy before you
Yes.
joined, and life sounds probably even busier now. Do you feel like you can handle the busyness or the stress or, life is lifing in a different capacity now having gone through the program?
I think I know when I'm about to be triggered
Mm.
better. And then I know to just, okay, I'm going to lie down. And what I'm also doing, I told my kids, I'm going to prioritize myself. Like tonight, I'm going to the library to play a game called Bunko. And I wouldn't normally do that in the past. So now I said to my kids, okay, I've raised you guys. I said to my husband, I've taken care of you for 30 years. I said, now this year is about me. And they're a little bit twitching. I gotta be honest. But then I said to my son earlier, I'm like, okay, I go, you do have dinner in the fridge. I'm not gonna leave you like, penniless, homeless, foodless. And he's like, why? Where are you going? I'm like, I'm going to the library. And he's like, well, that's good, mom. So now they're kind of rallying behind me.
I love that. I love that. I also feel like just watching you through the program, you've expanded your capacity. Like, you always could hold a lot, but I feel like
Mhm.
through the process of putting yourself first,
Mhm.
nourishing yourself,
Yeah.
doing hard things like taking parasite meds is not like a walk in the park. Like, you kind of feel like not great on them. Just being consistent with regular training and workouts, like, it
Mhm.
expands your capacity, so to hold more challenges that life brings. And
And my body's stronger too. So that's a big part
Oh.
of it. My
Yeah.
body's hardier.
Yeah, I'm assuming it doesn't hurt to get off the toilet now in your knees, hopefully.
No, no, praise God. No, it's
Yeah.
good. It's good.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you really wanna share or that you wanna leave the listener with?
Well, I've said it a couple times. It's like now is the time. Like if you've watched Emily and you've looked at Emily, you know that you need something. And
Mm.
Emily's the right person for you because she'll help you where you're at and she'll get you to a different place. It may not be where you want to be in your mind, but it's going to be different and better. And just to trust her.
I love that. I know, I really feel like my being on earth is like, I think if the women and the moms of the world feel better,
Yeah.
that radiates out to your kids, to your family, your community, and, like, the whole world is just better when the moms of the world feel better.
Oh, for sure. For
Yeah.
sure. That whole
Yeah.
happy wife, happy life thing is also happy mom, happy life.
Yeah, totally, totally. There's like a reason why that saying exists.
Yes.
Donna, thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing your journey and just being like sharing it all, right? Like being vulnerable,
Yeah.
being like, I had a concussion and this and this and this.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it really inspires a lot of women who have felt stuck or haven't felt heard or feel really alone to hear your story and be like, oh
Mm.
my God, I'm not so alone. There's other women who have experienced this, and there is like,
There's hope.
there's hope getting to the other side of it for
Yes.
sure. Yeah. So
Yes.
thank you so much. It was
You're welcome.
so wonderful to have you
It was,
on.
and I recommend you. I when I run into people in like doctors' offices and stuff, I write your name down for people, honestly, because we have to help each other.
100%. That's so sweet. I love that. I love that so
Yeah.
much. My heart just exploded. Donna, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.